You've been asking for it. It's just in a brand new Fox News poll out of New Hampshire. Donald Trump takes a commanding lead of the GOP race. He now has 27% of the New Hampshire voters, GOP voters. Marco Rubio receives 13%, just above Ted Cruz is at 11%. Ben Carson does not break double digits. In fact, he ties Jeb Bush with 9%, followed by John Kasich at 7%. And Chris Christie, this is his battleground. This is where he makes his stand at 6%. At 3%, Carly Fiorina and Rand Paul are back there. And then in the meantime, Lindsey Graham, Mike Huckabee, and Rick Santorum all just at 1%. The question was asked, if the general election were held today, who would win? Marco Rubio is the primary choice, polling just ahead of Hillary Clinton by 7 points. Jeb Bush comes in a close second. And although Trump is overwhelmingly the favorite amongst GOP voters, he actually performs the worst against Hillary Clinton. Now, overall, when voters were asked how things are going in the country today, 58% are unhappy with the way things are going. And that dissatisfaction is reflected in President Obama's overall rating as well. 50% of voters disapprove of the job that he's doing. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Fox News political contributor, and Daron Shaw, Republican consultant for the Fox News poll. Daron, the poll, everyone's been waiting for this poll, particularly after Paris and the last debates. What was the most interesting aspect of it from your point of view?
Well, a couple of things to note, and they're kind of points that are joined together in some sense. The first is, as you hinted at before the break, Ben Carson is kind of nowhere to be seen in this poll. Now, it's a little bit of an overstatement. He's kind of with the pack, whereas in the national polls and in the Iowa polls, he's at the head of the pack, either with Trump or with some of the other frontrunners in Iowa. Here, he actually trails Jeb Bush. He trails Ted Cruz. He trails Marco Rubio. And that's a change in the race. The other point I'd observe is that Donald Trump's support, one of the things we asked was, how certain are you to vote for the candidate that you prefer presently? And Donald Trump is the only candidate whose supporters are over 50% likely to say they've made up their minds. And on the other side of the dial, Ben Carson's supporters are the most likely to say they might change their minds. So it's not just that Trump's out in front, it's that his supporters are right now saying that they're not going anywhere. And that's troubling news for the rest of the field.
And here's the thing, though. Rubio is finally getting that traction that the media assigned, because it seems like as soon as the last two debates are over, Tammy, the media said Rubio won, but we didn't really see it in the polling. He seems to be getting that traction now.
Yeah, look, this is a fascinating poll in that you've got, as your other guest noted, of course, the number of people who've decided that they're with their candidate, but really 55% said that they could change their mind. That shows you the fluidity of this field, and I think that's significant. The other thing is also here, New Hampshire is never been really strong for Carson. Iowa's his strong suit. Nationally, of course, those are name recognition polls. I think it's way too soon to think that Carson has really been impacted because of the numbers with this poll. Keep that in mind. And then in the rest of the polling, other than, of course, Mr. Trump, who really is in command, as you've said, with the 5% margin of error, almost everyone else is tied.
Right.
You've got everyone in that dynamic, and this means it could go anywhere. So whoever your favorite is, nobody's really been knocked out of this except for the last three who aren't registering at all.
Daron, what do we make of, though, once again, when it comes to the general election, we continue to see time after time where Hillary Clinton fares best against Donald Trump. What is that all about?
Well, it's a really interesting dynamic. I think, as you pointed out, Rubio tests the strongest amongst the Republicans in the field against Hillary, whereas Donald Trump tests the least well. You could be looking at kind of an honesty phenomena right here, where the Republicans are polling well against Hillary, Marco Rubio, Ben Carson, who, while he doesn't do great in the Republican matchups, looks very strong against Hillary. It may be that those candidates who have kind of honesty, integrity as a cornerstone of their campaigns do particularly well when matched up against Hillary, whereas Trump, maybe because he's a businessman, maybe because people assume he's cut corners, he doesn't score particularly well on honest and trustworthy. So maybe the big Republican advantage that some of these candidates enjoy, Trump is the one candidate who doesn't necessarily enjoy that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to believe that anyone would trail Hillary in the honesty category. I'm just saying. Guys, thank you both very, very much.